Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, or if you're new here, I'm Alyssa.
I'm Garrett.
And we are the Leffersons. And we just got back from spending 10 days at Walt Disney World.
During the COVID-19 world pandemic.
Exactly. So we're going to give you literally every single thing that you need to know if you are planning to go to Walt Disney World anytime in the near future.
These aren't only our observations, we also put a question out onto Instagram saying, what questions do you have? And we got a lot of those from you guys, so we're gonna try and incorporate those into what we saw as well. We may not get to them all, but we sure as heck tried. And if you have any further questions, leave them down in the comment section and we'll be sure to try and answer them, or someone else will be able to as well.
Yes, and of course, this is just a little disclaimer that things may change. This is how things worked when we went, and as we went, things changed by the day. Disney is still changing things, so of course things can't always change, but this is how our experience was for us.
So the dates that we went were July 7th through July 17th, 2020. So in that time, there were a lot of changes in security protocols.
This is not technically a Walt Disney World planning video. Like if you're planning your Walt Disney World vacation, we're definitely going to help with that, especially with what's going on. I do want to eventually do a Walt Disney World 101 planning video, but I feel like now is not the right time because things are just changing so fast that the information that I give you is going to be completely different than what you actually might be doing to plan your Disney vacation. I would still continue to watch if you are planning your Disney vacation, because this is going to help you, and also to help you determine if you still want to go, if you still want to go through with it, because we're literally going to go through everything.
So we anticipate this to be a longer video, so we've broken it up into some sections. There will be timestamped down below, so if you're not flying, you can jump to somewhere else. We are going to be covering flying and taking the Disney Express, staying at Disney resorts, getting into the parks, what the parks are like, food, and basically if we recommend for you to go or not.
Yeah, we're literally going to be covering everything, and there's a lot in between all of those categories. So again, if you are coming to Disney World anytime soon, or if you're just wondering what the parks are like, we're going to tell you that right now.
Grab a snack, grab some tea. All right, let's start with flying. What are the details of our flying, Miss Alyssa?
Yes, so we flew out of Chicago Midway Airport, which is the smaller airport in Chicago, so there's usually not nearly as many travelers anyways, but the second that we walked through, we could tell a difference. There were signs everywhere, saying that we have to quarantine for 2 weeks if we leave and go to Florida, which that's what we're currently doing right now. So that's why we have time to make all these videos for you guys.
And there was also signs that saying that masks are required in the airport, which kind of made me feel a little bit more safe.
Though I did see some people not wearing masks all the time. It was mostly when people were already sitting in a location, or if they were eating something, which we did take our masks off to eat breakfast because, we needed to eat. We did take the second flight out and it was a little bit busier. It definitely got busier. I mean, our flight was at 8 a.m., but it definitely got busier as it got closer to our flight. Security, TSA was an absolute breeze. We were in and out in 5 minutes, and that's for flying in and back out of Orlando. We never had to wait in any security lines.
And we always choose to fly Southwest. We love Southwest, super flexible, so they have pretty much their own terminal. And so how they boarded you is about groups of 5 to 10 people. Yeah. And it did change between our flight there and our flight back.
Yeah.
On the flight there, they could fit about 143 people on the flight, and they had 70 people booked. So there were people spaced across the plane, but only the middle seat was empty. Obviously, Alyssa and I sat next to each other because we were in the same party.
Right.
But there was someone directly in front of you and someone directly behind you.
So that was a little bit scary because, of course, we weren't necessarily 6 feet distanced from everyone, but they did require us to wear a mask the entire time. They only served water. They did not serve your normal sodas or anything, and they just gave us a little snack mix. And that was pretty much it. We just stayed in our seats the entire time, kept our masks on, and didn't move. But I will say, that flight was probably the most stressful time of our entire trip. But once we got to MCO, Orlando International Airport, it was a little bit different. Masks there were recommended, not necessarily required. So there were people walking around without their masks on. But I would just say, stay socially distant yourself, and you'll probably be fine.
When we got onto the plane, the first thing we did was took out some Lysol wipes and wiped down all the surfaces that we might come into contact with. So the tray that comes down, our armrest, the buckle, that kind of stuff. And actually the flight attendants came by and picked up all those wipes before the plane even took off.
We also had Lysol wipes, and we wiped down, when we were at the airport, we wiped down like our seats and our armrests so that was all secured. We didn't see a lot of people wiping things down at the airports. I will say that much.
Now, there was a change on our flight back, is there was only like 25 people on that flight, and we were spread out real comfy.
Yeah.
So it all depends on your flight, on your airline, and how many people they're booking on flights.
I would definitely recommend, if you're trying to limit the amount of people that you see and you want to fly, and if you're flying like Southwest or something, take the first flight out or the last flight out. We didn't see very many people at all for the first flight out and the last flight out.
Keep in mind also, in your terminals, a lot of restaurants were closed in midway, like literally all of them. The only thing that was open was like an Einstein Bagels or something like that.
All the gift shops, a lot of the gift shops were closed. Most
especially in
things were
Chicago.
Closed down. Definitely in Chicago. And at MCO. When we went to MCO at the Orlando airport, both of the Disney stores were closed. A lot of the restaurants were closed. But most of the fast food places were open. But yeah, most of the stores were closed, except the Universal store was open.
It was closed on our way back though. I did notice that.
Oh.
So when we land at MCO, obviously take the tram over to Terminal B. We had to pick up our luggage because we checked it, and we go down all the way down on Terminal B, and there is no one. It is a ghost town. They closed all of the car rental stuff and moved it to Terminal A, and literally we're the only people checking in because we got there before the parks were officially open, and we came up and he said, "So are you this party or the Leffersons?" And we're like, "We're the Leffersons."
That had never happened to us ever, taking the Magical Express.
Tapped the Magic Band, he said, "Yes, you are," and we got on the bus. How they did the Magic Express was interesting on our way there. There was a gal that met us, and she said, "Okay, you guys are going to these two seats all the way in the back of the bus, and then there's going to be two sets of seats, and then the next party."
Yep.
There was only two parties on the bus. It was us and another family that was going to the Polynesian, I think.
Yeah, and you had to wear a face mask at all times, of course. And the bathrooms were closed on the way there, too. You could not use the bathroom. I did like the spacing out on that trip. I felt safe. I felt socially distanced enough. On the way back, it was a little bit of a different story.
It was every other seat. So the seats are in pairs. So there's like seat here, seat here. This seat may be closed in this row, but the seat behind it may be closed. So you're like zigzagged. And
so like Garrett and I couldn't even sit together. No one could sit together. But then there's like someone not in your party sitting in front of you, so you're not really 6 feet apart from. I didn't really like the whole system the way back. The bathroom you could use on the way back, it was pretty packed with people. It was like half full.
And I think that's part of that evolution of Disney's processes, because that was 10 days later. They may have seen that there's backups and they couldn't get enough Magical Expresses to the airport to move all the people. So there's a lot of compromises that they were making through that.
Of course, I would say I would prefer the way that they did it on the way there, but again, we don't really know what it's going to look like for you. It will probably look like the every other seat like it was when we left. Not necessarily saying that I like that too much, but that's just the way that it was. At least everyone was wearing a face mask.
The nice thing about Magical Express is it takes you straight to your resort and drops you off right there with your luggage and everything. The first resort we stayed at on this trip, because we stayed at two, was Wilderness Lodge. This is a deluxe resort, and you'd be like, "Garrett, Alyssa, why are you staying at the deluxe? You bougie or something?" No, because we were supposed to stay at Riverside, but it is not open.
Yes.
So after 6 hours on the phone with Disney, they upgraded us to Wilderness Lodge.
Yes. So we stayed there for 5 days, and we're gonna kind of give you an overview of our stay there. After that, we stayed at Pop Century for 5 days, and actually we weren't even planning to stay for 10 days. We were only supposed to stay for 5. We actually extended our stay because we had such a great time.
Yes.
So we extended our stay to stay at the Pop, which is a value resort. We're going to give you feedback on both of the resort experiences that we had.
Now, one thing that you must have if you go to Disney at any point between now and forever is the My Disney Experience app. That is literally your key, quite literally, to everything.
Especially during this time.
Yes. So on our way to the hotel, we get a text. And the text say, hey, your room is ready. Click here to see it. And it gives you your room number. You don't go to the front desk. You don't talk to anybody. We walked in and people were like, welcome home, you know where your room is? And we're like, no. And they're like, it's that way. And when you walk in and they say, welcome home, you're like, oh my gosh.
It was such a moment.
It was awesome.
It was such a moment. They do actually recommend that you check in online to avoid any sort of interaction. When we were staying at the Pop Century, our room wasn't ready yet, so we actually did have to go to the front counter and kind of see what was going on with that. But otherwise, they try to have you avoid the front desk at all costs so that you're not having those interactions with others.
And they have signs everywhere saying that you must wear your mask at all times. Anytime you are outside of your room, your own personal bubble, you are to wear a mask. This is to go get ice. This is to go get bags. There is one exception to that.
Yes, and that is if you are, actually there's two exceptions.
Okay.
Either A, if you are eating at a table, or B, if you are in the pool area. Now this was even changing when we were there because we were able to keep our masks off the entire time in the pool area. We did wear them like as we were walking to our chair and when we walked out, and like you have to put it on when you're going to the bathroom and things like that. But those are the only times that you're able to not wear your mask. If you don't have a mask, you should pack them, but they do sell them at the gift shop there. They're 4 for $20. Or you can buy one for just $6. But they sell them at all of the gift shops, literally everywhere on Disney property. You can get face masks.
They run small.
Yes.
Buy a large.
If you're an adult.
If you're an adult. If you buy anything below a large, these are still tight on me. I don't like them. I did not wear them. Alyssa did because she has a smaller head. As Alyssa said, masks are not required on the pool deck, but the cast members do space out the chairs, so there is social distancing. So it was about 3 chairs per grouping. So we kind of said anytime we left our little group, put your mask on.
Right.
They ask you not to move the chairs. When you leave, they ask you to fold your chairs forward because then a cast member will come by and sanitize it for the next guest that is coming through.
As we were sitting there, we also even noticed that the cast members were even cleaning off the hand railings, like for the stairs as you're going into out of the pool. Little things like that. They're constantly sanitizing.
Whenever we switched hotels and went to the Pop, we noticed that the Hippy Dippy pool, which is their main pool, was a little too crowded for our comfortability.
Yeah.
So they do have 2 quiet pool options, and we went to the other one, and it was much better. So almost every resort that is open now has probably at least 2 pools. So if one is real crowded, you can go to the other.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend the quiet pools. I will say, yes, the pool was crowded, but everyone was still socially distanced. It was just a little too uncomfortable for us to do that. You could have gone and still probably been socially distanced from others. We just decided to go to the less crowded pool.
Yeah.
Less kids as well in our circumstance. But let's just go back up and talk about the resorts in general. They had hand sanitizer literally everywhere. Even right by the elevators, they had hand sanitizer. At the Wilderness Lodge, at Pop Century, they did not have hand sanitizer. So I don't know if that's like a deluxe versus value situation.
I think it's an indoor versus outdoor thing.
Oh, that could be it too. Yep, exactly. In like the check-in areas, in the gift shops, at the restaurants, they always have social distancing cues, always social distance lines. Of course, if there is a place that there would be a line, they always have those social distancing markings.
Everywhere.
Yes.
So they thought about where would people line up, and then they put down the cue markers to kind of make sure that it is within parameters of that 6 feet.
Exactly. I will say you can still drop off your luggage at the luggage check, and they will bring it to your room if your room is not ready. They did that for us at Pop Century, and it was super convenient. So they will still do that, and you can still drop your luggage off if you are like taking the Magical Express later in the day.
But they do not have baggage and airline check-in available right now. So if you've used that before where they check you into your flight and tag your baggage if you're checking luggage, they're not doing that right now.
So all the bags that we had to check, we brought with us to the airport, and we were in charge of doing that ourselves, which we were fine with.
So now let's talk about the actual rooms that we are staying in. One of the really nice things as soon as you walk in is they have a placard, and it tells you how they are cleaning the surfaces better. It's saying specifically what things that they made sure to wipe down and sanitize all around the room. And one of the best examples that would immediately stood out was all of the remotes, come in a little baggie and it says sanitized.
Yes.
So you know that cast member sanitized that remote, put it into a bag, and sealed it. And we were like, oh, we appreciate that.
Even at Pop Century in the shower where they have the pumps of the shampoo conditioner, that had plastic over it and it said cleaned.
So when we checked into Pop, there was a question asking like frequency of room freshening. So basically, they don't come in and clean your room.
No.
It is not typical the Magic Mouse people.
They're not going to come in and make your bed and clean everything for you. They will only do a few things. They will take out your trash and they will give you new towels or toiletries. That's all they will do.
And then if you need anything else for whatever reason, you have a baby and they make a mess on the bed or whatever it is, you just call and they will come and either bring you new sheets or whatever you need. They're there, but they are not in your room on it every day cleaning it for you.
At Pop, we either had the option to not come at all or come every other day and just like replenish towels. We chose that.
One noticeable thing that was missing from honestly both rooms when we made it work was antibacterial hand soap. That was the number one thing that we saw was missing.
And we didn't even think to bring it. And I was kicking myself the entire time. When we were at the Wilderness Lodge, since we stayed in a DVC room, they did have like a hand dish soap that we just used to wash our hands, and I actually remembered to bring that along with us to Pop, and I'm glad that I did, because at Pop all they had was just that bar of like facial soap, which I would have liked like a actual pump hand bacterial.
And I don't think that it had alcohol in it.
No.
I think the dish soap is usually there to break down the fats and the oils. It's not there to, disinfect.
Yeah,
so if you go, that's something we really suggest that you buy are just little tiny antibacterial hand soaps because you need those. Now, every other public bathroom has the pumps. You're good to go.
Exactly. It's just like your actual hotel room. So for food at the resorts, we are going to, of course, touch on food a little bit later on when it comes to like mobile ordering and things like that. We're going to talk on that. We're going to talk about that when we talk about the parks. But when it comes to food at resorts, not all of the restaurants are open. If you are staying at a Value or something, every single quick service is open, but you can only mobile order, which we will of course touch on that later. And only some restaurants are open. Not every single restaurant is open. I will say one thing about restaurants. If you do not have a reservation, they will not let you in. I'm not sure if that's been everyone's experience, but we've been hearing from a lot of people, and we have had our own experience of trying to you used to just be able to walk on and see if they had availability. But if you do not have a reservation, they do not let you in. So make sure you have a dining reservation if you want to eat at a table service restaurant at the resorts or at the theme parks.
So after you've spent all this time at your hotel in your own little bubble wearing a mask, it's time to go to the parks.
Or Disney Springs.
Or Disney Springs, yes, because that has been open. So they were running buses. And the way that they did buses, they split the buses up into 6 different zones, I guess you could say. And so they could accommodate 6 different parties of up to, I think, 6 people. Whenever you got on, the bus driver would say how many, and we'd say 2, and they'd say, okay, section 1, please. And so we were the only people in that section. In between these sections were the dividers that were like zip tied to the poles.
Yeah, so if you like are in line and you count 6 parties in front of you, you're not getting on the next bus.
And all of those bus queue lines do have markings for the 6 feet of distance, of course. Anywhere where there could be a queue, they put it down.
Exactly.
They also were running the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, so we did ride that. Each party got their own gondola.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was super nice. I mean, we loved the Skyliner, and it was not really busy. We had one busy morning, but that was because it was like opening day for Epcot and Hollywood Studios. But other than that, like it was just on and off in a breeze. I'm not sure if they actually sanitize those. I don't think that they can. We just made sure that we like washed our hands and stuff, and don't try not to touch everything when you're in there.
I was really mindful this entire trip of like what I did and did not touch. Like usually you would lean up against a pole while in line. I'm like, I just put my butt on it and my hands were like across.
I will say with the Skyliner though, while you were on, you're allowed to take your mask off and just hang out. But once you get like to the next stop, put it back on before you get off of the Skyliner, before you get out of your gondola.
And so when all of these transportations drop you off at the park, how do we get into the park?
So there is 3 different steps that you take to get into the park.
Step number 1.
The first one is temperature screening. You have to be temperature screened. Every single person does. It is super duper fast. It is super duper quick. You stand in a little queue, again with the 6 feet distance space markings, and they just put the little gun up to your forehead, they scan you, and within 2 seconds you're through.
They don't even touch you.
No, they don't even touch you.
They do not shout out what your temperature is. If you ask, they will show you it. I did ask a cast member what happens if someone is running a fever, and they said that they try another little measuring guy, or they pull them off to the side and have Disney kind of decide what to do. I did see some pull off areas like at the TSA where they like wand you, and I think they start talking about a couple different options, but I honestly did not see one person the entire time get pulled out of that queue.
No.
And so I am going to assume that everybody that entered that park was not running a temperature. And so people are like, oh, it's hot in Florida. Doesn't that increase your temperature? That's not how your body works. No.
No, I mean, it didn't for us, and there were days that we were hot, and we still went in just fine.
So the temperature screening is done by Advent Health. They're not cast members. They buzz you. They say, have a great day, and you scoot on through.
Next is security. So security is different at every single park. So Disney Springs doesn't have security. They do have dogs that walk around for weapons, but other than that, they don't have an actual security screening.
But Disney Spring also does do temperature.
They do the temperature check, yes, but they do not do security.
Nope.
At Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, they have like the old version of security, and then Epcot and Animal Kingdom have the newer version of security, and they're both a little different. At Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, you had to take out any metal umbrellas, metal water bottles, bottles of sunscreen, like the spray cans of sunscreen. Am I missing anything?
I think they also mentioned battery packs.
Battery packs. So just like those few basic things, you had to take out and set aside, and then you walk through with your full bag. Now, if you are scanned that you have metal in your bag, because that happened to us a few times, they will ask you to take everything out of your bag, but they do not touch anything. You are in charge of taking everything out of your bag, but they just make sure you don't have like a big gun sitting at the bottom of your backpack.
And so, so it's a lot different from before where they would rummage through. Now, the new system that she's talking about was mind-blowingly cool.
Yes.
Is it literally was like the 2 stanchions, more or less, that you see at like Target. And you literally, one by one, you single file walk through these, and that's it.
Yep.
I never saw anyone get tagged by them. I don't know what the protocol is, what density of metal it takes to set off these things.
Yeah, because I had everything in my backpack then. I had my metal water bottle in there and my
battery pack
my
and
battery
cameras
pack and things. And I never got screened or scanned that I had metal in my backpack. That was at Epcot and Animal Kingdom. They had the newer version.
I felt felonious just walking through and it not like buzzing or anything.
It's super convenient too, because it's so much faster to get through security when you're just walking through.
And I mean, they do have a lot of Disney security there. So it isn't like just Joe Schmo hanging out. Like they have 8 people on either side of this. So if it does get flagged or somebody slips through, they're able to grab you real quick.
After security, you just go to the touch points. Normally you would have to scan and do your fingerprint. Now you just have to scan. So it's even easier, even faster. You just hold it up.
Touch the Mickeys.
Hold your magic band up or your card up, whatever you have.
And it goes.
That you just love, and there you go. You're in the park. And just before we even get into what the actual parks are like, one person did ask us if it is the same price to get into Disney as it was before, and the answer is yes. It is the exact same price.
What are you thinking?
They're not gonna decrease their prices. No. It is the same price.
So you get into the park after going through the rigmarole of that 3-stage process, and it looks a little different.
It does, but it's like, it's magical because there's just lines of cast members when you walk in that are just like, welcome home.
They're applauding you.
For you. And I'm just like, oh my God.
And they were saying, welcome back, welcome home. They're like cheering for you coming back, especially at like, we went on opening day to Magic Kingdom and I was like, thank you.
Oh my God.
I love you all.
Just giving a little shout out to every single cast member at Disney World. They were all amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. They all, even if they didn't want to be there, they acted like they wanted to be there, and they all put a smile on their face, and you couldn't even see because your mask was on, but you could see because they were just cheerful and happy and made us happy to be there.
And we made sure that every chance we could, we thanked a cast member for being there. Anybody from custodial to ride loading to service to managers to everybody. We thanked everybody that we could because we know that it's hard to be back, and they're adjusting with it as well.
And they're risking their lives to be there, really. I mean, they're putting themselves at risk. We put ourselves at risk for going, but it was just pure magic.
And for the most part, we saw other guests being pretty well behaved.
Of course, you always see a few.
You have a few people that were a little more entitled than others, but we just kind of roll our eyes and roll on because they don't affect what our day is at the park, and we just keep going.
So talking about the actual parks, let's talk first about the rides.
Okay.
All of the line queues, of course, had the 6 feet distancing, even sometimes outside of the line queues if it's more of a popular ride. For example, Mine Train was wrapped like all the way around Mine Train because that line, all the way back to Circus, because typically that line does get pretty long.
Now, all the rides are not open, especially like theater ones. The only theater show that we did see open was Mickey's PhilharMagic, and we didn't go on that, but I saw a couple Instagram stuff and they spaced people way out in that theater.
Yeah, I will correct you a little bit though. All of the basic rides are open. It's the shows that are closed. As they were loading people onto the rides, most of them, they spaced them out every other ride vehicle. Sometimes it was every 2 ride vehicles. And sometimes it was every ride vehicle. For like Peter Pan's Flight, for example, we were very well social distanced, just loading every single ride vehicle because of the ride vehicle so big. But most of the time on roller coasters and things like that, it was every other vehicles that they placed you in.
If it was like a 4-row vehicle, they would put one party in the front, one party in the back, like we did that on the Frozen ride.
And on Pirates. All like the boat rides, they were like that, exactly.
As you are standing in line for the queue, there is a repeating announcement about washing your hands, social distancing, using the hand sanitizer at the entrance and exit of the ride. And it really was there. On the way out, there was one on either side. As you walk through, you just kind of poof, and it spoots out on you.
And if there was a long line, there's usually one like a few feet up too.
Yep.
So that there's plenty of room to get your sanitization in.
And then if the line wasn't moving, a cast member would come on and say, we value your safety, so at this time we're cleaning the ride vehicles. We apologize for any delay that this may cause. But in my heart, I was like, that's cool. Like, we heard everything from 2 hours to every half hour. We never saw it happening, but we know that it did.
Yeah, there were several times when we were waiting in line that they said, like, it'll be 5 minutes because we need to wash off everything.
But even while we're waiting in those lines, it doesn't matter because all the queues were like this long.
Our wait times were very, very minimal.
Yes.
A lot of you guys asked about wait times. Most of the time they were non-existent, especially like at Magic Kingdom. Most of the waits were less than 30 minutes, especially when you get to the afternoon and people start leaving. They were all walk-ons. I would say the longest lines in all of Walt Disney World were the lines at Hollywood Studios for Mickey and Minnie's. That got up to 90 minutes. Also, like at Epcot, Test Track was sometimes 60 minutes long. Frozen was sometimes 60 minutes long. But those are parks where there's less rides, so
it concentrates the people.
Right, exactly. But Animal Kingdom, I mean, we just walked on the Flight of Passage, guys. It took
longer to get to Flight of Passage than to ride it.
Yeah. So the wait times were definitely a plus.
Now, they did alter some of the ride structures, like we were just mentioning Flight of Passage. So before they have like 2 pre-show rooms, now they spread it out across the 2, show the same video, and then put you onto the ride. At Haunted Mansion, there is no stretch room. There is no fireplace room.
You basically walk through all the pre-show rooms.
So across any of those rides. So if you really like the pre-show for Haunted Mansion...
Rock and Roller Coaster or Haunted Mansion.
Who likes the pre-show? If you like the pre-show of Rock and Roller Coaster, comment down below so I can judge you. Because Aerosmith, come on.
Oh my gosh. But they cancel it all. Yeah, you just walk through the pre-show room, basically.
Well, okay, Rock and Roller Coaster was literally a walk-on. As we walked up, they opened the gates and we're like, oh, okay. And just got right on.
We did not wait in line at all, not a single second.
Nope.
It was amazing. Also with the rides, you have to wear your face mask on all of the rides. I think, did they let you, we didn't go on any water rides. I'm not sure if you were able to take them off on water rides. But on all of the other rides, you had to wear your face mask. And I have heard if you've taken them off and you've been on a PhotoPass ride, they delete those PhotoPass photos. So if you are not wearing a mask, you are not going to get that picture.
While we were on Flight of Passage, you know, you're jamming out and all of a sudden the music cuts down. Mask must be worn at all times. Thank you. And we're like,
So someone must have taken their mask off, yeah.
They serious.
Yeah, so they are constantly watching you on the rides, making sure that you have your masks on at all times.
So shopping and merchandise in the parks. Some people just love to go to the parks and buy everything. Everything new and different that catches their eye. And so not all of the shops and or restaurants are open in the parks.
No.
Like in Magic Kingdom, the Emporium is open and they have people at the entrance and exits. That's another thing that's different is they have dedicated entrances and exits and they have cast members at those exits. So if you try and sneak in, they kick you out and make you go down to the entrance.
Yeah.
And so they have cast members there counting the number of people in and counting the number of people out. They all have iPads.
They've got little devices
iPads
that's constantly adding and subtracting.
iPads and iPhones because they have a limit. So if a limit forms, like it was in the case of the Splash Mountain gift shop, they have another queue that you wait in to get there. That was the only merch and the pin shop in Epcot. They had it's a little tiny store, but they have their own algorithm or their own formula for that. But as far as stuff in the shops, Alyssa, did you notice like any differences?
I would say there were a lot less people in the shops, which was nice because we were able to actually walk around without being like close to people. So that was very nice. And then of course in the lines, they all have social distancing cues in the lines and they had a lot of new merch.
Yes.
I know someone was asking like, did they just have like all the old merch or did they include, they had a ton of new merch, a ton. And I'm telling you, we bought it all. No, we almost bought it all. But of course they did have like some of their new merch. I know like all of their 2020 stuff is like buy one, get one free and things like that. So they had deals going on for some of their older merch, but overall, really good experiences in the store. And there were, of course, constantly people walking around sanitizing different things. I would say if you're not planning to buy something, don't touch it. I know like when I first got into World of Disney our first time, I just started touching everything and Garrett was like, don't touch everything.
Well,
don't touch everything.
They have little signs that say like, let's keep the magic alive. Don't touch junk unless you're gonna buy it.
I learned my lesson. I would only touch something if I was going to buy it. So I would recommend doing that. Don't follow in my footsteps.
And so crowd levels at the parks. It's really hard to get out of any cast member what percentage the park is at. Disney is super secretive about that, but we heard everything from 15 to 30 to 20%. It was a lot less. And even on the regular ticketed days, it was crazy low. And they did alter park hours. So like Magic Kingdom opened at
9 a.m., closed at 7. Hollywood Studios was 10, closed at 8.
So they're not long hours nor long days. And we are used to having that longer time in there to kind of take a siesta and come back. So we really had to convince ourselves to stay. But there are less people waiting for food and all sorts of stuff.
I think the question is, did we feel safe in the parks with the amount of crowd level that there was?
That's a good question.
And the answer to us is yes. We felt very safe. We felt there was like no one in the park. There were several times, especially at Magic Kingdom, where we were like, we have the entire park to ourselves. Like, we're in Fantasyland standing here by ourselves. There's no one else in Fantasyland at 3 in the afternoon. Like, that's insane. But that's how it gets, especially towards the end of the day. Like, if you guys are coming, stay towards the end of the day or come just for the last 4 hours of the day because no one is in the park the last few hours of the day. It's crazy.
So after we've ridden all the rides 6 times because we can, Alyssa looks at me, I look at her, and we're like, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
The way we get food in the parks has changed. Again, this goes back to downloading the My Disney Experience app because that is where you do the primary ordering. You mobile order everything. If you don't know what mobile order is, it's for quick service restaurants only. And you go through and you choose what items you want, what drinks you want, and you can customize it. So like on your burger, if you don't want pickle or lettuce or onion or anything else on it.
All of the menus are on the My Disney experience. You go through the menus, that you add everything. It's like you're ordering online your pizza for delivery or something like that. You're basically just ordering it ahead of time, and you pay for it ahead of time too. So you're not really making it's very limited interaction with people, honestly.
And they give you a half-hour window. So they say between 11 and 11:30, this is your window to come pick up. After 11:30, your order is canceled. It's gone. But there's another thing you have to do. There's a little button that says, I'm here, prepare my order. Do not, I will repeat this again, do not wait until you're standing at the front door to grab your phone and press that, because it takes another 5 to 8 minutes, depending on the crowd level, to get your food ready.
Yeah, so basically what we would do is like 30 minutes before we decided we wanted to eat, even if we were waiting in line for a ride, we would make our mobile order, and then when we were like 5 to 10 minutes walking distance away from our quick service, we would prepare it. So by the time we were right there, ours was already prepared. And I would recommend that because we did notice that it tends to get crowded in the places where people are mobile ordering because they're all waiting for their food in the same location.
And it got a little bit better over time because I think cast members learned to develop it better. Like at the annual pass holder preview, there was a pylon in front of Pecos Bills, and I was like, oh, and Alyssa was like, and I'm like, Alyssa, get back here, and she's like, but I have a lane. But it got better. So then when your order is ready, it pops up and it says your order is ready, go to counter 2. And so you show the cast member your phone, they let you in, you stand at the marker on 2 if there's someone's in front of you, and then you walk up and you say, Garrett, or either your order number, they turn around, they give you your tray full of food.
Most of the time they already have your beverages prepared for you, but if you are getting like a soda from just like the pop machine at your resort or something like that, you have to actually bring your receipt to the pop machine, and there will be a cast member there that will take your receipt. You'll just tell them what you want and they serve it to you. They will fill it up for you. They also do refills, but they will just give you a brand new cup.
And if you're not comfortable with that at all, they do bottled soda. She calls it pop, but they do bottled drinks as well. And if that quick service does serve alcohol in any other park besides Magic Kingdom, you can get alcohol as well.
Yes.
So you can do it by the draft or by the can. They do wine.
And then, of course, as you're in your quick service, all of the tables are social distance. There are several tables that you cannot sit at because of social distancing. And of course, once you sit down and you're at your table, you can take off that mask. You can take off that mask, enjoy your unmasked face, and eat your food. But if you are to go up, if you forget napkins, or if you need to go to the bathroom, you need to put your mask back on. There were several times that people got up and there were cast members that asked them to go back and put their mask on before they go do something.
And every time that we saw anybody corrected for their mask, either their mask being off or not wearing it correctly, they immediately complied. The cast members were very respectful about it, and I think the guests were as well. There wasn't anybody throwing a fit that I saw, at least.
No. So that was for quick services. You don't have to mobile order at like the snack kiosks. Like when we got our orange cream float at Sunshine Tree Terrace, we could just walk up and order that.
Or the places that have like the Mickey bars.
Right,
or like the
ice cream
walk-up
stands, popcorn stands. You don't have to mobile order for any of that. It's just the quick service restaurants. We did have some reservations, and those were all amazing experiences. Again, in there, they are social distancing. They have all the tables spaced out. And yeah, the waitress or waiter is always wearing a mask. And it's nice.
And one of our favorite reservations is a character meet and greet at the Crystal Palace, which is closed.
Yeah.
Most of the character dining is closed, except for 2, Topolino's and Garden Grill.
I believe, and that could change. Oh, I think Chef Mickey's is open too. So they have added a few character dinings, but of course when you eat at a character dining, you take like a selfie with them, like from far away. They can't come up and hug you anymore.
And so they do still have character meet and greets out in the park. We were kind of bummed that we weren't gonna see the 100 Acre Crew, but we were walking by the Crystal Palace and they were all on the front porch and it was adorable.
Yeah, so they had like Piglet and Pooh and Rabbit, I think. And so you're able to like take a little selfie with them. And of course they didn't have the character meet and greets, but they had cavalcades.
Yes, you finally got it. No, that's what they call it.
I call them mini parades, but they're apparently called cavalcades, and they were amazing.
They were.
They made up for not having any character meet and greets. They made up for no parades because you literally had parades all day long. They went through like every 30 minutes to an hour. And that's in every park too, not just Magic Kingdom, every park had it.
In Magic Kingdom, they had one where it's just Tinkerbell on top of some treasure. And then they had one where Winnie the Pooh characters are being pulled down in a carriage. And then another one where it's all the princesses. And Merida was riding a great big horse. And the rest of them were on a float and they were beautiful and waving. And oh, it was just the perfect amount. And the crowds are so low, whenever a character interacts with you, it's not to the person behind you or the person on either side, it's to you.
Because there's no one else standing around you when you're watching these little parades because they're not planned. You can't go up and ask a cast member when the next one is. They won't tell you.
And some people were asking, why don't the princesses have face masks? Aren't they setting bad examples? No, because the princesses are easily 6 feet away from the guests because the cast members walk in front of the cavalcade, spread people out. And they are up on a float.
Most of the time. Elsa was walking by herself around World Showcase.
But she had a 6-foot gap.
She had cast members all around her basically, and they were just getting everyone out of the way.
And so it was great to see them, and you could talk to the princesses and they would talk back to you. Yeah. Rapunzel blew me a kiss. I was just over the moon.
So if you are walking through any of the parks, they did the cavalcades everywhere. The only difference was Animal Kingdom had characters, but they were actually on boats and they were along the river. So you wouldn't see them walking around the park, but you would see them on the boats along the river, which was also super cute.
It was like a retrofitted pontoon boat with some speakers slapped on it. It
was adorable. Like we saw Pocahontas, we saw Chip and Dale as dinosaurs, we saw Mickey and Minnie, we saw a band.
Yeah, they had their version of the Jammers on the boat. So if you really like the Jammers at Epcot, they actually put them back in the American Pavilion in that stage back there, along with the mariachi band.
Yes.
So they still had some live music, but it was much less pop-up, and
they actually had set times for that one too. So they had set times, and I believe it was like every half hour for a different show.
And if you're a big fan of the nighttime show, of the fireworks, of any of that, ain't gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
Parks are closed by then. They kick you out. Go home and watch it on YouTube.
Honestly though, I didn't miss the nighttime show that much. I don't think I really thought about it because we weren't at the park at that time.
Nope. The one park where we're like, give us 2 more hours was Epcot because it had just rained and it was beautiful.
Epcot's amazing at night. It's so amazing.
There was a question on our Instagram about bathrooms at the parks.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they were cleaning them all the time. 75% of the time that I walked into a bathroom, there was someone there wiping it down and cleaning it.
Well, I noticed that there is literally a cast member at every single bathroom that is designated to cleaning that bathroom all day long. So there's always going to be a cast member either standing outside or they're physically in the bathrooms cleaning. I'm not sure about the men's bathroom, but with the women's, if the seats were up, that means that they had already cleaned the toilets. So I tried to find one where the seat was up so I knew that my toilet was cleaned. I know another thing that you guys were wondering about was pin trading. Was there pin trading at the parks? If you watch our channel at all, you know that we love pin trading. And not really.
No cast members have lanyards, no cast members have pin pouches. The only type of pin trading that we were able to find were pin boards.
And we weren't able to find them at every park. Now, I'm not sure about Epcot or Hollywood Studios. We didn't see any. Even at Pin Central at Epcot, didn't see any boards. At Animal Kingdom, we saw 2 boards, one in by Harambe Market and one in Dino Land. And in Magic Kingdom, they actually had a board in each land.
Yep.
So that was nice.
And so the process, they have a whole, I actually have a picture of it. I'll put it up now. I'll put it up now. And it was kind of the procedures is you can only trade 2 pins as you always could, but you point to the pin that you want. The cast member will take it off of the board and like put it down in front of it. And then you put the pin you're trading into a bowl. And then once that's all done, you take those pins. Now those pins in that bowl, they sanitize. So we actually saw them sanitizing those and putting them back up on the board. Yeah. So I wonder if we like missed any great trades because it was like in the bowl.
I will say though, because they had limited trading and they were only on the boards, I feel like we were able to find some like better hidden Mickeys and like traders and things like that. So there was limited trading, but I think the trading was good.
And so that was just something that we carried our pin lanyard with us in our backpack, and if we saw it, we pulled it out. I didn't wear a lanyard.
No.
But I mean, it is what it is, and that's okay for now because I don't think I could have like mentally handled another thing to do during this trip because it was so different from anything before.
It was very different. But I will say they could be adding pin boards, like, and of course things might be changing. Maybe they do have pin boards at Epcot now and we just missed it. So of course, like, always try to stay updated with like, we recommend like Disney Pins blog because he tries to stay updated with all of that. But yeah, there was a little bit, not a lot though. And then a lot of us were asking about masks and things that we brought to the parks with us that helped. We are going to do a what's in our park bag video of what we brought to the park during this time. So that will come out, that'll be a whole separate video. But how did we feel with wearing masks all day long?
Find a mask that works for you. Alyssa really liked the cloth masks. I hate them. We bought some of the paper ones from Walgreens, and they had a little wire thing right there. They were big. They went all the way down to here. They gave me enough room. I didn't feel like I had a pillowcase against my face. It didn't fog up my glasses. I could wear those suckers all day.
But I thought that was too heavy for my face, and I preferred the cloth ones because they were actually smaller on my face. I even wore the Disney ones sometimes, and I found those to be comfortable. Is it hotter with the mask on? Maybe like a pinch, but it was so freaking hot anyways, like you didn't even really notice the difference with the mask on or off.
And especially if you're outside, you take off your mask, it's hot and humid. You put on your mask, it's hot and humid. I mean, that's just what it is.
When you go to Disney in July, you just expect to be a hot mess the entire time. Mask or no mask, you're gonna be sweaty anyways. So.
And I mean, I would say like the best way I can kind of help you prepare to go if you're planning to go wearing a mask is kind of go on just some walks with it. Get outside, especially, I mean, almost anywhere in America right now is pretty warm.
Yeah.
Get outside, go for a walk, not like a strenuous, like I'm gonna work out and go for a jog in my mask. Just wear it outside for a little bit.
Even a whole day.
Yeah.
I will say the first day that we were at Disney, we were sweating like so profusely within the first hour. Like we were definitely not used to it, but we got used to it very quickly. Another great thing that the parks had that kind of helped with our masks was relaxation stations. Every single park had relaxation stations where you could stop, take off your mask, sit at a table, drink some water, and rehydrate. And of course, you're able to take off your mask when you eat. If you have to get a drink of water, you can pull your mask down, drink, and pull it back up. We tried to do that when we made sure that we were not close to anyone.
There were people that were walking around with their mask down, taking a drink of water or something. I'm not comfortable doing that.
No.
If you are, all the power to you. It was nice to get back into the hotel room where it was air conditioned and rip that sucker off and throw it away.
I will say though, if you are planning to go within the next few months, it's still going to be extremely hot there. Some things that did help us, I mean, we will talk about this in our park bag, but some things that were like literal saviors were fans. We bought some portable fans, and we'll leave them linked down below. The ones that we bought, we liked them a lot. And cooling towels. You can, of course, buy cooling towels at the parks. We bought some off Amazon, which we will link down below. We really like the ones that we use. Those helped out a lot.
The fans were clutch.
Yes, the fans were literally life.
Sometimes there's no wind in there.
And sometimes you're standing in line in the sun at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 100 degrees outside.
And another big thing that really helped us was you need to bring the right water bottles.
Yes.
You need to get the double insulated stainless steel bottles. Don't bring the single cell or the single wall plastic ones, because you will crave that ice cold water.
You'll need it.
You can get ice water anytime you get food.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
And it's free.
It's free.
You can get ice cold water at any quick service for free. You just ask them for a cup of ice water. You don't have to buy the Dasani water bottles, because who actually likes Dasani water bottles anyways? Ew. Just get the water cups for free, and it's filled with ice, and yes, it's life.
So I think to wrap this whole big video is, do we recommend you to go?
And was it still as magical as it was before?
So I'll let you go.
I think we have different opinions on
We
this.
do you want me to create the counter opinion first, or do you want to go first?
Well, I'm gonna start with magic.
Okay.
I felt the same amount of magic, if not more. Maybe it's because I haven't been in so long, but I got extremely emotional every single time I got into the park. All of the cast members made it extremely magical too, because they were just so cheerful and happy that we were there. All of the little mini parades with the characters really made me not miss the parades and made me just instantly happy. And the rides, I mean, like, I didn't feel like I was missing out on too much.
I will take the counterpoint to that. It took me probably about half a day in Magic Kingdom to really start to feel the magic. And I think it came down to the fact that I love going to Disney for the community of other people there. That's kind of why we do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big person when it comes to like body language and reading people. And the fact that 2/3 of your face is cut off is really
and
weird.
You couldn't see people smiling and enjoying their time.
And I know that sounds like, Garrett, you're making excuses. It just didn't click in my brain. Eventually, yes, I did come around. I think the cavalcades definitely helped. It took about half a day for the magic to kind of seep into me. I was also on like a work call, so I couldn't focus completely on it. But it did come around. And I do have to say, like, when I tapped my magic band into the preview at Magic Kingdom, I was a little verklempt. And
yeah, it was emotional. I think it was still equally as amazing. Like, I don't think we would have extended our stay if we didn't enjoy it so much. We took advantage of the low wait times. We took advantage of the low crowds because we never get that. The magic was definitely still there for me, and you came around.
I came around.
Now, the other question is, do we recommend you going? And I think, honestly, it depends. And I hate to say that, but it totally depends on several things. First thing, have you been to Disney World before? If you've never been before, maybe you don't know what to expect, and maybe you'll still love it. But if you are a big like shows person, and if you want to go for the shows, I would wait. If you're just going to ride the rides, maybe now's the time to go because you have the low wait times. And if you've been several times, I would go just to see what it's like. I mean, it's definitely a different experience.
And I would agree with that. You also need to go with the proper expectations.
Yes. Yes.
You're gonna be hot.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sweat. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. And people may kind of breach that social distancing sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like you have to have that mindset going in. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're gonna be miserable and hated. So one thing you always hear about Disney World is it's too crowded. Well, that's not a problem.
The waits are too long. That's not a problem.
The second, the other thing is it's too hot. Well, that's never going away. It's
always hot. Unless you go in like January or December.
But I would say if you are watching this and you're curious on if you want to go with between now and February of 2021, watch as many vlogs as you can. I would suggest you to watch ours because it's ours.
If you're not subscribed yet, you should subscribe because none of our Disney World vlogs have come out yet. They're actually all going to come out starting next week. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell icon because we're gonna give you a lot more in-depth information in our vlogs. Like, I know, like, we definitely went into in-depth here because this is a long AF video, but you're gonna be able to see everything. You're literally gonna be able to see what the parks are like. And after watching this, if you're like, wow, that doesn't seem too bad, maybe you would enjoy going. Like, why not? You really just have to think about what you want in your first Disney experience. Do you want the fireworks and all of the shows? Do you want to see Festival of the Lion King? Because that's not open. That was it. That was a low blow for us. We do love the Festival of the Lion King. That was a low blow for us. Maybe those shows will open within the next few months. Maybe they'll figure out a way to social distance with those shows. And if that's the case, and if you're watching this a few months later and shows are available now and fireworks are available now, go for it. Seriously, go for it. I mean, I had the best time. We were just extremely thankful to be there. It was so nice to be together again with everyone there.
And I'm gonna say something on the tail end.
Okay.
To the haters. Okay. There were a couple people that did comment like, people are gonna die from COVID and all this stuff. And I said very first starting whenever we did our trip announcement, we understand the risks that we are taking. Every single sign at Disney in the bottom said, by coming to Disney World, you are taking the risk. And we understand that.
Yeah.
And we made that choice. That does not make us irresponsible adults. It does not make us not care about other people's lives any less.
No.
And
we followed the rules. We followed the protocol.
And to imply that is a personal affront to me, because my job going back is to make sure that my staff and students and Alyssa's students are safe.
We're teachers. He's a principal.
Yes. So I take personal offense to someone saying that I'm selfish for going to Disney.
And going off of that, if you are planning to go to Disney World, you need to follow the protocol. You need to follow the rules. You need to wear your mask all the time. You just have to follow the rules, because you're keeping yourself safe and you're keeping others safe. All those cast members are there to let you have a magical day. And if you're not going to follow the rules, you're risking their lives and your own life. Just don't go if you're going to not want to wear a mask and, not follow the rules.
And that's the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna, and anybody that brings that kind of negativity into our comments, I'll just delete you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna have an argument over politics, over if it's real or not. I am just simply saying that this is where I'm standing. This is the choice that we made, and we made it back and safe. And
we had the best time ever. So
and we are self-quarantining.
Yes.
So for people that are saying that we're selfish, we are self-quarantining.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
Because we did receive some of that, not a lot. I will say everybody, like 99% of you guys were super supportive, which made my heart smile. And I leaned on those. I mean we. We leaned on those, because I don't know if it affected Alyssa the same way that it affected me, but I leaned on those positive people saying, thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you for taking the time, especially during all of our lives. You guys were fantastic.
Yes. If you want to watch our lives, if you're new to this channel, go watch our lives. They're pretty long, but we literally walked around the park. We showed some of the parks.
We met some viewers while on the live.
Yes,
it was a great time.
It was super wonderful, and we're gonna have lots of more vlogs coming out. Our next video is actually gonna be our Walt Disney World haul, so if you'd like to see all the things that we bought, then of course, hit that notification bell icon and subscribe. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers, so it'd be wonderful if you guys could subscribe, and of course like this video, give it a big thumbs up if this helped you out.
And share it. Yeah. Share it with other people that are kind of on the fence or who are looking for kind of an overall view of what Disney is now, because there's so much misinformation out there. So send them this video of like, hey, these two really cool people just went to Disney for 10 days and this is what they have to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry that this was so long, but we really wanted to give you an in-depth of everything that you will expect when you go there. So I hope that it was helpful for you guys. I hope that it helped make your decision either to go or not to go. And I hope that if you do go, you have a super duper magical time, because we are just so thankful that we had this opportunity, and we hope to go back again in a few months. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, leave a comment down below with any other questions that you guys have. If you have any other questions, leave the comments down below. We'll try to answer them, or feel free to message us on our Instagram. It's the Leffersons, and we'll be sure to answer any questions, any further questions that we have. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Bye, guys.
See you later.